Hello. Nobody's here yet, but hopefully I'm live. Says I am. Um, Supposed to be. Says I'm public. Oh, there you all are. Hey, Amy and Joanne. Um, I just don't feel like that I'm prepared for this today. Like I know I've read it. I know I have gone over the things. I know I've written notes. I know I've done all the things, but just I don't know. I feel a little bit off about it today. Not that I'm thinking it's going to be a bad study or anything like that. I just feel unprepared. I don't know why. But we're going to do it anyway because we are. And it's not storming today, thankfully. And that's a good thing because the last couple of Tuesdays it's been terrible storms. So this time we had read chapters 47, no, Genesis 47 through 50, and then Exodus 1 through 16. Okay, that's a lot of reading. I mean, to go over at one time. Like, it's not really a lot each day, it's a few chapters. And you can even listen to it on the Bible app and stuff. But to go over it each week, it's a lot. And y'all ignore all the book stuff. If y'all have been watching my videos, you know what's happening in here. You know the decluttering is happening of the books. So it's just gonna be a mess for a while. That's my new background. So yeah, we have a lot to cover, but I'm not gonna be able to cover it all. Like usually with our Tuesday Bible study, we cover things more in depth than what we can here on Thursdays. But I do want to talk about prayer requests. This morning, Donna had taken Robin back to the doctor, and he had been having more issues with the congestive heart failure. He has gained more weight. It's fluid buildup. We know that, but that is not a good thing. So today, and she told me I could share this, and she may or may not be here. I don't know if they're going to get back or not. But today first of all, they get to the appointment and the person sent them to the wrong place. So they have to go back to their car in the parking deck or car park, big place, and go all the way across town and get worked in with a completely different person than who they were supposed to see. And they changed his meds, and they'll be seeing him again next week. So y'all keep them in your prayers for sure, because that's a lot to go through, and then to have all the other crazies. She didn't sleep last night. She's not sleeping well at all because she's so worried about him. But it's just a lot. And then let's see. She'd also said that her friend Dachi was doing better, and that her son, both of them are recovering from COVID, but they're not in the hospital or anything, but they're still recovering. And y'all know that's a lot to recover from if you've had it. Sometimes you don't recover. And then Vicky Wright, she's another YouTuber. Her mother passed away. I wanted y'all to remember her. And I know I talked about these Tuesday, but some of y'all might not have been here. And then Carol's daughter's family, Sheila, Everett, and Brooks, they have COVID. I don't know how they're doing. I don't see her in here right now. She may come in. I don't know. Then Doug Maddox fell off a ladder and broke his leg and has to have surgery, broke his heel. And let's see. Jessie M., she came in and she asked for prayer because she has a problem gaining weight, and she's having digestive system or just systems problems, and just several things she needs prayer for. God knows what they are. And then of course Selena, always pray for her. And I'm sure that other ones here, Joanne, you had different things going on. And Tara, I know some things going on with you. And if y'all want to ask for prayer publicly, you can do that. But if you ever do send me an email asking for prayer, I will not say it publicly. I may say pray for Tara, or I may say pray for Amy, or I may say pray for Flora, but I'm not going to say what it is. Oh, really? I'm so sorry. I didn't even know if you still talk to her very much. The same Brittany I'm thinking about, right? But if you ever ask for prayer in a private email, I will not say what you are asking for prayer about, but I will, if you want me to, say, well, pray for so and so. God knows what it is anyway. It doesn't matter if we know the situation. But yeah, and if you ever want it to be public where all the other ladies can pray for you, then you just put it in the chat or in the comments on videos, because other people will pray for you. And also pray for Sammy for managing the maze. She is in Mississippi right now. Her mama passed away. They thought she was getting better. She had surgery and things, and she didn't make it. So she is in Mississippi right now at the funeral. So she can attend the funeral and everything. Her and her family are there. So keep Sammy and her family in your mind, on your mind, in your prayers. But anyway, I guess we'll get started with the study. Like I said, there's a lot to cover, and there's no way I'm going to be able to cover every single bit each time. And I was joking, which y'all haven't seen that yet. I think it's in the video for tonight, or it might have been last night. I don't know. I talked so much. I don't know. But I was joking, said we might need to split it into a couple of days. But I can't do that. I can't do anymore. That's what I thought, Flora. Hi, Lois. But yeah, I didn't know if you still kept in touch with her or anything. I don't know how far away they actually live from y'all, but it's just not a good situation. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Amy has she has terrible migraines, y'all, and you just got over a migraine last week, didn't you? But let's go ahead and get with the study. Yeah, I thought she just got over one last week. She has terrible migraines, so we need to pray for her. Is it part of the Hashimoto's? I wonder if it is. I don't know. But I'm just going to kind of, just a little glimpse of each thing. Chapter 47 in Genesis. You're wondering that too, which you still have to go to your specialist. Joseph had brought his family to Egypt, where that he was, because there was famine in the land. We know that from last week's studies. And there was famine, and Joseph, I guess you could say he tricked his brothers. I really think he probably could have ordered his brothers, but I don't think there was a reason why. I don't think he was supposed to reveal himself when they first came there. There was a plan to this. God had a plan to this. So, anyways, Joseph has brought his family to hi Debbie, to Egypt, and you guys, we know that was it was good at that point in time. But today we're going to find out that him bringing his family to Egypt turned into something that was not so good. So we'll get there though. But in chapter 47, Jacob, which was Israel, who was changed to Israel, he went to see Pharaoh and he blessed Pharaoh. And then I'm just going to kind of go over the not highlights. That doesn't feel right saying highlights, but I don't know what else to call it. just touch on some points, I guess. But Jacob was the elder of Joseph's family, and he blessed different people. I don't really know how that worked, but a lot of elders in biblical times, a lot of the elders blessed other people. It's like they had that authority. And you still can bestow blessings on people now and things like that, but it's a different situation, I think. But so in this chapter, he did bless Pharaoh, which to me was kind of odd. But I know that, different ones blessed different kings, different people, but it felt odd knowing that he was an Egyptian, he was a different religion and all of these things. Whenever Jacob blessed him, but he blessed him. And then Joseph dealt with all the things going on with the famine, and he made sure that all the people were taken care of. And then, let's see, where's it at? Let's see. Now there was no, I'm going to read this little bit. Verse 13. Now there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very severe, so that the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan languished because of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the grain which they bought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. So Pharaoh was making money from all of this. Not that he was scheming or anything, but happy birthday, Debbie. But he was feeding the people. He had stored the grain. He had made sure all the things because of Joseph, but he was bringing the money into his place. So when the money failed in the land of Egypt, when nobody else had any money, the money failed in Egypt and Canaan, all the Egyptians came to Joseph and said, "Give us bread, for why should we die in your presence? For the money has failed." Then Joseph said, "Give your livestock, and I will give you bread for your livestock, if the money is gone." So they brought their livestock to Joseph, and Joseph Joseph gave them bread in exchange for the horses, the flocks, the cattle of the herds, and the donkeys. Thus he fed them with bread in exchange for all their livestock that year. When that year had ended, they came to him the next year and said to him, "We will not hide from my lord that our money is gone. My lord also has our herds and livestock. There is nothing left in the sight of my lord for our bodies and our land. Why should we die before your eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants of Pharaoh. Give us seed that we may live and not die, that the land may not be desolate." So these people sold themselves into bondage just to eat. And I'm bringing that up because we see that now. People are selling themselves just to have what they think they need. They're doing whatever they have to do to get what they want, what they need. Now, these people needed food. If not, they would die. I don't understand why they didn't eat the animals, why bread was more important, which bread in that time and now, if it is properly, like grain is properly milled, has lots of nutrients. But anyway, this is where it starts, where we're going to get into Exodus, when the people are all in bondage to Pharaoh. And I just want to bring that up because of that. Because we're going to be talking about some of that in a minute. Then in the same chapter 47, verse 27, Joseph is it's going to be in this part, but Joseph is going to be making a vow to Jacob, or Israel. Israel dwelt in the land of Egypt in the country of Goshen, and they had possessions there and grew and multiplied exceedingly. So there was a lot of the Israelite people there. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the length of Jacob's life was 147 years. When the time drew near that Israel must die, he called his son Joseph and said to him, Now if I have found favor in your sight, please put your hand under my thigh and deal kindly and truly with me. Please do not bury me in Egypt, but let me lie with my fathers. You shall carry me out of Egypt and bury me in the burial place. If y'all remember, Abraham had bought a burial place. And he said, I will do as you have said. Then he said, Swear to me. And he swore to him. So Israel bowed himself on the head of the bed. This is his promise to his father that he will take him and bury him in the burial place, not in Egypt. He didn't want to be buried there. And I should have looked this up again. I looked it up before, but the Egyptians buried their dead in a different way than what the Israelites did. So that probably made a difference. Plus, Abraham had bought the place for his descendants to be buried, so that's where he wanted to go. That's where he wanted to be. He wanted to later be laid to rest. So then in chapter 48, where's my notes? Jacob, or Israel, blessed Joseph's sons. But there is a significance whenever he blessed Joseph's sons. Joseph had two sons, and Jacob, I keep calling him Jacob because that was his name in the beginning, just like, I don't know. It's just like kind of is easier for me to remember or something. I don't know. Anyway, so let's see. In verse 8, it says, When Israel saw Joseph's sons and said, Who are these? Joseph said to his father, They are my sons, whom God has given me in this place. Now, Joseph was married to an Egyptian. And he said, Please bring them to me, and I will bless them. Now, the eyes of Israel were dim with age, so he was not blind, but getting close, so that he could not see. Then Joseph brought them near, and he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel said to Joseph, I had not thought to see your face, but in fact, God has also shown me your offspring. He never thought he would see his son again because he thought he was dead. Y'all got to remember that part. So Joseph brought them from beside his knees, and he bowed down with his face to the earth. And Joseph took both Ephraim with his right hand toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh with his left hand toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near to him. When Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it on Ephraim's hand, who was the younger, and his left hand on Manasseh's hand. So he crossed his hands. He did not do this. He did this. He crossed his hands. Then Israel, let's see, where was I at? Guiding his hand knowingly from Manasseh was the firstborn, and he blessed Joseph and said, God before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who fed me all my life long to this day, that the angel who has redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads. Let my name be named upon them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. Now when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand on the head of Ephraim, it pleased him. So he took hold of his father's hand and removed it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. It displeased him. I read that wrong. I'm so sorry. And Joseph said to his father, Not so, my father, for this one is the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head. But his father refused and said, I know, my son, I know. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his descendants shall become a multitude of nations. We know there's another that the younger was greater than the older, right? So he blessed them that day, saying, By you Israel will bless, saying, May God make you as Ephraim and as Manasseh. And thus he set Ephraim before Manasseh. Now, I'm not exactly sure why it mattered But he didn't like that the younger was before the older, and the younger's not supposed to be before the older, especially in boys. Um, let's see. This says the land was therefore his to give, since it was taken in his name. Maybe I need to read some more of it so I can. For some reason, I had a point, but I don't know where it went. Then Israel said to Joseph, "Behold, I am dying, and God will be with you and bring you back to the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to you one portion above your brothers, which I took from the hand of the Amorite with my sword and my bow." Which he was younger, but he was getting more. Joseph was. I don't know where I was going with that point, but it was in my head, and now I lost it. But whenever the children were blessed, the younger was not supposed to be put before the older, is the main thing, is what I was trying to get to. But Israel did that. Jacob did that. He put the younger before the older. Did I say it backwards before? I probably did, y'all. I'm all kind of messed up today. So in chapter 49, Jacob, let's see, what do I have? Jacob blessed his sons, and then he died. He blessed every one of his sons in different ways. He told them to gather together, and he blessed each one. And I'm not going to go over each one because we all were supposed to have read it all and all that stuff. And if not, we can go back and read it. There's no rules to this Bible study. I don't have any kind of special homework or anything. But he blessed everyone and told them what they were to do and how they were supposed to be. Some of the things sounds kind of, it's like, okay, like Issachar is a strong donkey lying down between two burdens. It's like, okay, what does that mean? He's lying down between two burdens. Some of it's so confusing to me that I need to do more study. That's why I said for Tuesdays we need to study what we studied a little deeper. Kind of go through that. But then Jacob dies, and it says that once Jacob has passed away, Joseph does follow through. It says, "Then he charged them and said to them, I am to be gathered to my people. Bury me with my fathers in a cave that is in the field of Ephron the Hittite, in the cave that is in the field of Machpelah, which is before Mamre in the land of Canaan, which Abraham bought with the field of Ephron the Hittite as a possession for a burial place. There they buried Abraham and Sarah his wife. There they buried Isaac and Rebekah his wife. And there I buried Leah. The field and the cave that is there were purchased from the sons of Heth. And when Jacob had finished commanding his sons, he drew his feet up into the bed and breathed his last, and he was gathered to his people." So he died, and he told them, "Bury me in." I mean, even though he had gotten a promise from Joseph, he still said, "Bury me where my people are buried." So in the end, in chapter 50, after Jacob died, he's buried. Joseph's brothers are looking for forgiveness from him. And then Joseph dies. All in this one chapter, in chapter 50. So, then in verse 4 in 50, "Now when the days of his mourning were past, Joseph spoke to the household of Pharaoh, saying, If now I have found favor in your eyes, please speak in the hearing of Pharaoh, saying, My father made me swear, saying, Behold, I am dying in my grave, which I dug for myself in the land of Canaan. There you shall bury me. Now therefore, please let me go up and bury my father, and I will come back." And Pharaoh said, "Go up and bury your father, as he made you swear." So he had permission to go and bury his father where that he was supposed to be buried at. And we remember Joseph was pretty powerful man, and he was even more powerful at this point than he had ever been before. So he was buried. He went to bury his father, um, and then Joseph in verse 15, Joseph's brothers are they're wanting forgiveness. It says, let's see, verse 15. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, "Perhaps Joseph will hate us and may actually repay us for all the evil which we did to him." So they're thinking, "Oh, well, he's only being nice to us because of our father. He's not being nice to us because he loves us, because he really does forgive us, and we are repentant of what we have done. He may go ahead and take vengeance out on us now." So they sent messengers to Joseph, saying, "Before your father died, he commanded, saying, Thus you shall say to Joseph, I beg you, please forgive the trespass of your brothers and their sin, for they did evil to you. Now please forgive the trespass of the servants of the God of your father." And Joseph wept when they spoke to him. Y'all, in the last week, Joseph wept so much. And now he's weeping again because he truly loves his family. It's not like he is holding grudges, but they feel as though he is. Then his brothers also went and fell down before his face, and they said, "Behold, we are your servants." Joseph said to them, "Do not be afraid, for am I in the place of God? But as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring it about as it is this day, to save many people alive. Now, therefore, do not be afraid. I will provide for you and your little ones." And he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. So he's telling them, don't be afraid of me. I may be powerful, but I'm not going to take out anything, take my vengeance out on you. You don't deserve to be punished anymore. They had punished themselves for years, if you really think about it. They had had guilt over this for years. And then on down in chapter 50, Jacob, he passes away in verse 26. So Joseph, did I say Jacob? I meant Joseph. I did say Jacob. So Joseph died being 110 years old, and they embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin in Egypt, which I don't understand why he was buried in Egypt instead of where his father was buried. I don't get that part, but I mean, that's where he was buried. So now we're going on to Exodus, where there's a new king in town. Chapter 1, it talks about the names of the children of Israel who came to Egypt. And if we've read any of Exodus, we know that them coming to Egypt was their saving grace. It brought about good things for them when the Pharaoh that was there was there. But then this new Pharaoh who comes in, he's completely different. It's like, that old song, There's a New Kid in Town or whatever. It's all different now. It's not going to be the same thing. And it kind of sounds to me like the new Pharaoh is not very, very sure of himself, not very sure of his power. And the way it looks to me, these people were just living their lives, doing what they needed to do. They were living in bondage. They sold themselves into bondage. And they didn't, they didn't seem to be fighting the power, so to speak. They didn't seem to be doing anything like that. But there was a new Pharaoh who put the people of Israel in bondage. He ordered the midwives to kill the baby boys. They would not, so Pharaoh decided to throw the sons into the river. And we know if we read this time, or if we just know the story in Exodus, we know that there was a baby named Moses. And his mother refused to, she hid him for 3 months, I believe it was. She hid him. And if you think about it, how do you hide a crying baby? How do you hide a baby? So she must have kept him very content all the time. she was very, she had to have been very attentive to his needs, feeding him, changing his diapers or whatever. He was afraid the Hebrews were going to take over since their numbers were high. Yeah, that's true. He was afraid of that, but they weren't doing anything to warrant that kind of fear, is what I'm saying. Yeah, there was a lot of them. Yeah, God was multiplying them, but really, they were just living their lives, doing what they needed to do. So there are other people in authority who live in fear and try to do things like this too. You see it now. But Moses' mother in chapter 2, I kind of skipped chapter 1 because it's just talking about how the new Pharaoh was. But which another thing that is brought up is this: Moses came from the house of Levi. So anyways, so we know his lineage. But the child, she hid him for 3 months, and how she could hide a baby. I took very good care of my babies. They didn't cry very much at all. But a baby still sometimes gets fussy. They get a little gassy. They get a little, cranky. They get a little sleepy, but they don't want to sleep, things like that. Which, babies that are that young, they do sleep a lot more. So, but she hid this baby for 3 months, and then she put him in a basket, an ark, made of bulrushes and pitch, and she put him in the basket and set him off into the river. Which, whenever I was thinking about this, I thought, well, she obeyed Pharaoh. She put the baby in the river. She did what he said, right? Wasn't like he meant, but she did do that. And of all people to find him, I got some kind of something, message or something. Okay. I don't know what it was. It was Noah. Okay. I'll have to worry about that later. It's not anything like, whenever it's Noah and he's at work, I got to make sure he's okay. Like he doesn't need me or something. Same with Jeff, whatever, that kind of thing. Anyway, the one who finds Moses in the river is Pharaoh's daughter. She finds him there and has one of her maidens go out and get him, and looks in, and the baby, whenever she sees him, the baby's crying. So of course, any woman most of the time who sees a crying baby, they're gonna, I need to make him okay. He needs to be okay. She knew that he was a Hebrew child. She knew where he had come from, but it didn't matter to her. So Moses' sister runs up and says, "Hi, hey, I can get a nurse for him. I can get a wet nurse. Do you want me to get one of the Hebrew ladies to nurse him, to take care of him, to keep him alive?" So, okay, Carol. I hope everything's okay. But anyway, she says, do you want me to find someone who can nurse this baby for you? Now, I don't know if the mother planned this. I don't know if the daughter planned this. I don't know how this happened. If they, had this planned to put him somewhere close to Pharaoh's daughter's bathing spot or whatever, and let her find him, or what, You really don't know. You put a baby in a river in a little basket, you don't know what's going to happen. God's taking care of the baby, so we know what's going to happen. We know what happened. But anyway, so she goes and she runs and she gets her mother. So her mother gets to have her baby back with Pharaoh's blessing, pretty much. she gets to raise her baby up to a certain age. And we learned whenever we were doing the other study with Hannah that, okay, brain just went bye-bye. Solomon, was it Solomon? Nope, that's not right. Samuel was at, whenever he was weaned, we learned that, I wish I had my other notes. I do. They're right here. Maybe I can find it real quick. But anyway, whenever they weaned a baby, it wasn't like what we think of as weaning a child. It was older. It wasn't at like whenever they were done with their bottle. It was, let's see. Okay. The Hebrew meaning for weaned actually means to become a person, which means can think for themselves and make decisions, to be independent. So that was in 1 Samuel whenever we did that study. I'm glad we did that study recently. And I had the notes right there. Oh, bye-bye recipes. I just knocked them down. I'll get them later. But anyway, I'm not saying this is for sure what happened, but when Moses' actual mother brings the child back. Let's see. What does it say? In verse 8. And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, Go. So the maiden went and called the child's mother. Then Pharaoh's daughter said to her, Take this child away and nurse him for me, and I will give you your wages. So she got paid for taking care of her own baby. So the woman took the child and nursed him, and the child grew, and she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. So she called his name Moses, saying, Because I drew him out of the water. And I have wondered at times, what was his Hebrew name? Because it wasn't Moses. This is what Pharaoh's child named him. So, well, it doesn't say that she weaned him, but you would think that that's when that the child knew things. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because the question was asked to me, how would he know who his brothers and sisters were? How would he know Aaron? These things. Probably because he was older when he was taken back to Pharaoh's daughter. That's my thought. I could be wrong. There's nothing here that says that in what we've read. But let me go on to, where's that? Where was that? Okay. All right. Then Moses in, it starts in verse 11. He's grown up, and time has come to pass where he's grown. And it says, Now it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown that he went out to his brethren and looked at their burdens, and he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his brethren. So he looked this way and that way, and then when he saw no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. So he looked around to see if there were any more Egyptians. There weren't any more, so he killed the guy and then hid him. But then later on, the Hebrews say, Are you going to kill us too? Is that what's going to happen? So he ends up, let's see. So Moses feared and said, Surely this thing is known. When Pharaoh heard of this matter, he sought to kill Moses. So Moses fled. He ran away. He left and he went to the land of Midian, and he sat down by a well. And he ended up meeting some people at the well, met some ladies who were taking care of their father's flock, and they ended up bringing him back home. And he ended up marrying Zipporah and having sons with her. And then God saw, it says in verse, 25, and God looked upon the children of Israel, and God acknowledged them. So it makes me wonder, had God not been paying attention? Of course he was paying attention. Or I shouldn't say that makes me wonder. It makes me think this way. Like, People might say, is God not paying attention? Yeah, he was paying attention. He knew what was going on. He knew everything that was happening. God knows all, no matter what. But bad things will happen even in God's watch. All right, Debbie, I hope you enjoy it. But things that can happen even whenever God is right there. And they may not be great things, but God's still there in everything. Yeah, he had a plan. He had a wonderful plan. So he saw the pain of his people, and I have gone 40 minutes and hadn't even got to chapter 3, and we've got to go to chapter 18. Let me rush through a little bit because I hadn't even gotten to the books. We may not get to the books today. Where's my little book? Oh, there it is. I'll just have it open for whenever I get to the questions, which the questions this week, I answered them, but they're so elementary. Anyway, let's keep going. I'm just going to go over my quick notes. In chapter 3, Moses sees the burning bush. He was afraid to look on God, but God wanted to deliver his people. Moses didn't have the confidence, so God told Moses to wait. Where's it at? Oh, God told Moses what to do. I can't read my own writing. It's terrible. I mean, look at that. It's terrible. Okay, so then in chapter 4, God gives Moses signs. He tells him what to do with the rod and things like that. He tells him what he's supposed to do. He gives him, God told Moses to tell Aaron what to do because Moses said, I can't, the song, Moses has stage fright. He had stage fright. So Aaron was his voice. Aaron was his mouthpiece. So, I wrote in here, children were weaned between the ages of 3 and 9. So I did look it up. Did I say I didn't look it up? I don't know. Pharaoh's daughter knew that he was Hebrew. Samuel was weaned at an age when he could understand. Oh, I did make notes. Okay. What is this one now? Oh, no. He's still... Okay. He's trying to tell me about something that happened at work, but it's not something bad. He was talking about he's in his own little world, and then he looked around, and there's a dude that looked like, what did he say? Who looked like Einstein, had Einstein hair. And then he was thinking, was this guy real? Noah's always telling me stuff that's happening at work. But anyway, let me get back to this because I'm never going to get to it. I did make myself notes, though. I did have a question. Okay. That I was wondering about. Let me find the exact. Okay, Zipporah and Moses, they're traveling back. We all read it. We're supposed to have read it. I hope we read it. If we didn't, I'm sorry. Where are we? Where's it at? It would have helped if I would have used this Bible whenever I was studying, but I used one of my others. But I pulled this one out because it's the cultural Bible. I need to start doing just one. Where was I at? Okay, so Zipporah they were leaving. I'm going to ignore their conversation for right this minute. Oh, let's see. Okay. Where is it at? Why did I... Okay, here it is. Okay, so in verse 24, and it came to pass on the way at the encampment that the Lord met him and sought to kill him. Then Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son and cast it at Moses' feet and said, surely you are the husband of blood to me. So he let him go, that he said, you are a husband of blood because of the circumcision. So I wonder why she had circumcised her son that way. That's what I said. Why did Zipporah circumcised her son the way she did. But then again, I don't know. Maybe I should have read it a little bit better because now I understand it. It says in the notes, or maybe I should have used this Bible. I'm using this Bible this coming week. Zipporah's act of circumcision is important. It appears to function as an explanation, purging atonement for the guilt, pollution, or blood that Moses is still carrying around and on account of which Yahweh attacks him. It is hard to say, however, exactly how circumcision accomplishes this expiation. This is a Phoenician myth in which the god Kronos circumcised himself and thereby seems to halt an impending catastrophe sent by another god. At the occurrence of the fatal plague, Kronos immolated his only son to his father Ouranos and circumcised himself, forcing the allies who were with him to do the same. Okay, this myth reflects the belief that the circumcision could quell divine wrath, which honestly I think probably has nothing to do with that, with the falsehoods and things. But Moses should have known to circumcise his son. Even though he was raised by an Egyptian, he still knew Hebrew things because he was around them, I'm sure. And he knew he was Hebrew. I don't know. It still confuses me. And if y'all know why Zipporah circumcised her son the way she did, please let me know. Because that was a question I had. It seemed odd that she would do that the way she did. And it was like out of anger. And the Hebrew circumcision is usually like, it's like a celebration, a rite of passage, or I don't know how to explain it. But anyway, it was odd to me the way she did it. So chapter 5, Pharaoh becomes harder on the Israelites. And then, which I said I was going to go a little bit faster through this, and I got stuck. And then chapter 6, God remembered his covenant with his people. Let's see, where am I at? Oh, goodness. Verse 14. Why did I put down verse 14 of 6? Oh, there's the head of the families listed there. That's why I did that. I put head of families, but I didn't know why. The head of the families are there. And then chapter 7, the plagues start. And we're not going to ever get to it unless y'all want to be here for a while. I did some research on the plagues, and I found some stuff. And I can link these down below. But it's got the 10 plagues, Jehovah versus the gods of Egypt. And I thought this was pretty neat. It says the water turned to blood, Exodus 7, 14 through 25. And then it talks about the gods of Egypt, which are, and I may be saying it wrong, Khnum, guardian of the river source, Hapi, spirit of the Nile, Osiris, Nile was his bloodstream. And then is the intersecting notes is duplicated by the Egyptians, occurred in Goshen, where Israelites lived, and dead fish and a putrid smell. And then it's just got different things that the Egyptian sorcerers did that were like the copying of the other. And then this right here, I'm just going to link this stuff because I thought it was pretty neat. But the first plague, turning the Nile to blood, was judgment against Apis, the god of the Nile, Isis, goddess of the Nile, and Khnum, guardian of the Nile. The Nile was also believed to be the bloodstream of Osiris, who was reborn each year when the river flooded. The river, which formed the basis of daily life and the national economy, was devastated as millions of fish died in the river and the water was unusable. Pharaoh was told, by this, you will know that I am the Lord, Exodus 7:17. But what I wanted to bring this up for is you can see the reason why the plagues happened, because the Egyptians believed in their gods, and God was saying, I'll kill your gods. Your God is nothing. You know, that kind of thing. And I just thought that was neat. So I will link those things in the description for y'all because you might find it interesting too. But I had 2 pages that were neat. I thought were neat. Then chapter 8, frogs and flies. 9, Egypt's cattle dies, and hell smotes the fields. 10, locust and darkness. And then 11, God tells the people what to do, and the firstborn of Egypt death is announced. Chapter 12, Passover is instituted and regulations are set about. And then the last plague, the 10th plague, which I do want to pick up my paper again that I can't do. The death of the firstborn. Let me read that. The 10th and last plague, the death of the firstborn males, was a judgment on Isis, the protector of children. In this plague, God was teaching the Israelites a deep spiritual lesson that pointed to Christ. Unlike the other plagues, which the Israelites survived by virtue of the identity of as God's people, this plague required an act of faith by them. Remember, they had to put the blood on the doorpost. That's why Passover is a thing now. God commanded each family to take an unblemished male lamb. Oh, why am I talking before I'm reading? I don't know. And kill it. The blood of the lamb was smeared on the top and sides of the door. The lamb was to be roasted and eaten that night. Any family that did not follow instructions would suffer the last plague. God described how he would send a destroyer through the land of Egypt with orders to slay the firstborn male in every household, whether human or animal. So it didn't even matter if it was a human or an animal. The firstborn died. What was that? The only protection was the blood of the lamb on the door. When the destroyer saw the blood, he would pass over that house and leave it untouched. Exodus 12:23. This is a term where the term Passover comes from. Passover is a memorial of that night in ancient Egypt when God delivered his people from bondage. 1 Corinthians 5:7 teaches that Jesus became our Passover when he died to deliver us from the bondage of sin. While the Israelites found God's protection in their homes, every other home in the land of Egypt experienced God's wrath as their loved ones died. This grievous event caused Pharaoh to finally release the Israelites. So that is why the Israelites were finally released, is because his child died. That was what got him. That was what finally got him. But each one of the plagues represents what's the word? I want to say the killing, but that's not right. I mean, yes and no. What is it whenever you, I can't think of the word, but y'all probably know what I was talking about if I explained it properly. They busted the myths, I don't know, of the gods. God busted the myth that those gods were all powerful. He proved that they weren't. Chapter 14, they crossed the Red Sea, and whenever they crossed the Red Sea, Pharaoh, of course, comes running after. He's like, oh no, I want my people back. I need my slaves. They got to build bricks and stuff. But God had another plan. They end up crossing the Red Sea. They get through it. And I'll read it. Then the Lord said to Moses, stretch out your hand over the sea, that the waters may come back upon the Egyptians on their chariots and on their horsemen. And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea. And when the morning appeared, the sea returned to its full depth, while the Egyptians were fleeing into it. So the Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. Then the waters returned and covered the chariots, the horsemen, and all the army of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. Not so much as one of them remained. But the children of Israel had walked on dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall to them on the right hand and on the left. So the Egyptians are killed while the Israelites are saved. So that was the crossing of the Red Sea. Then chapter 15, they're singing praises to the Lord. Moses and the children of Israel are singing praises, and then Miriam is singing praises, and then in verse 22, it's like when what is the word? The grumbling starts, I guess. So Moses brought Israel from the Red Sea when they went out into the wilderness of Shur, and they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. Now when they came to Marah, they could not drink the waters at Marah, for they were bitter. Therefore the name of was called Marah. And the people complained against Moses, saying, "What shall we drink?" So he cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a tree. When he cast it into the waters were made sweet. So this is when the complaining starts. This is when the 40 years. Okay, I'm not going to look for the map. But the 40 years of running through or going through the wilderness starts. And I started thinking, if we don't complain, will our wilderness last as long? Will we get through the wilderness faster if we don't complain? If we don't grumble? That was just my thought whenever I was reading this time. But that was the first of their complaints. We don't have any water. They didn't say, "Oh, God's going to provide. What can we do? Let's seek God's guidance." Instead, they complained. And then in chapter 16, they complain again. Says, let's see, where's it at? And I'm trying to find the exact spot. And the children, and this is verse 3, and the children of Israel said to them, "Oh, that we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the pots of meat, and when we ate bread to the full. For you have brought us out into the wilderness to kill us, the whole assembly, with hunger." So they're complaining again. They're grumbling again. They're not saying, "Hey, God made water. God made the water into walls. We saw this happen. Let's make the water sweet. Or can he make the water not bitter?" Okay, that was the first problem. Then in chapter 16, they're sitting there saying, "Oh, but we had wonderful food back in Egypt. It was so tasty. It was so good. We were always full." Instead of saying, "Well, he made the waters into walls. He made the other water sweet so we'd have something to drink. I know he can bring us food." Instead of saying, "Hey, Donna," that's not what he said. Instead of them saying, "God can provide," they started grumbling again and saying, "He's just trying to kill us. He's trying to kill us. That's why Moses brought us here." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain quota every day, that I may test them whether they will walk in my law or not. And it shall be on the 6th day that they shall prepare what they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily." So God gave them instructions. He said, "Gather this much on these days, and on the 6th day, gather a double portion." We all know they don't listen. So yeah, they didn't do everything like they were supposed to at times. But whenever they did, it worked out great. They had manna from heaven. It was wonderful. Then chapter 17, they were all on their journey again in the wilderness of sin, from the wilderness of sin. And therefore the people contended with Moses and said, "Give us water that we may drink." So Moses said to them, "Why do you contend with me? Why do you tempt the Lord?" And the people thirsted there for water, and the people complained against Moses and said, "Why is it that you have brought us out of Egypt to kill us and our children and our livestock with thirst?" First it was just them, now it's the children and their livestock. So Moses cried out to the Lord, saying, "What shall I do with these people? They are almost ready to stone me." He's worried for his life. They're like, they're not learning. They are not. How many times have we went through a wilderness and not learned? I've gone through a lot the last few months. And I have not learned part of the time. And I'm going to just be honest with you. There's times where I just come back and I think, well, I go back to the old, well, is it ever going to be better? Is it ever going to get better? Is it ever going to change? But it will, if we actually rely on him and see what he has done and stop worrying about our bellies. Stop worrying about, that's just, what they were worried about, their bellies. If we stop worrying about things and let God have it completely, like, don't grab the wheel back whenever we give it to him, it will be better. So, let's see, where's it at? And the Lord said to Moses, go on before the people and take with you some of the elders of Israel. Also take in your hand your rod, with which you struck the river, and go. Behold, I will stand before you there on the rock in Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and water will come out of it, that the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. So he called the name of the place Massah in Meribah, because of the contention of the children of Israel, and because they tempted the Lord, saying, is the Lord among us or not? So, God told him what to do, and he did it, and it worked out. Sounds like things have not changed at all. They were complaining and grateful then and still are today. That's true, Marcy. That's very true. People are still complaining. So they end up getting water, and then on further in chapter 17, they end up in a fight. They end up, Amalek came and fought with Israel in Rephidim. So they end up fighting the Amalekites, and everything works out. So Joshua, I'm going on to verse 13. So Joshua defeated Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. Then the Lord said to Moses, write this for a memorial in the book and recount it in the hearing of Joshua, and I will utterly blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. And Moses built an altar and called its name, the Lord is my banner, for he said, because the Lord has sworn, the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. So then we go on to where that Jethro is giving advice in chapter 18. He's giving advice to Moses, and he's wanting to, let's see, where's it at? I should have just brought the other Bible back out. I'm just going to say it. It won't be what it says in there, though. But anyway, Jethro tells Moses, all these people are coming to you. They keep coming to you and coming to you and coming to you. You're overwhelmed. You can't spend time with your family. You cannot spend time with your children. You need to give somebody else some responsibilities. You need to delegate. You need to share the work. So that's what he told him to do. And let's see. Oh, here it is. So Moses' father-in-law said to him, the thing that you do is not good. Both you and these people who are with you are surely wear yourselves out, for this thing is too much for you. You are not able to perform it by yourself. Listen now to my voice. I will give you counsel, and God will be with you. Stand before God for the people so that you may bring the difficulties to God, and you shall teach them the statutes and the laws and show them the way in which they must walk and the work they must do. Moreover, you shall select from all the people able men, such as fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them as rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties, rulers of tens. So he's saying, get men who are following God, give them some responsibilities. Don't do it all yourself. Let them take care of the little matters. You take care of the big matters and bring it to God. So that's what he told him to do. And Jethro was a priest of Midian. So, I mean, one man can't do it all. Yeah, he brought him out, but he can't do it all. So Moses let's see. And let them judge the people at all times. Then it will be that every great matter that they shall bring to you, but every small matter they themselves, I already had said that, shall judge. So it is easier for you, for they will bear the burden with you. If you do this thing and God so commands you, then you will be able to endure, and all this people will also go to their place in peace. So Moses heeded the voice of his father in law and did all that he said. And Moses chose able men of all of Israel and made them heads over the people. So Moses heeded wise counsel. Sometimes we need to do that. Sometimes we need to delegate. So we need to give somebody else a little bit of responsibility if they can be trusted with it. But we need to make sure that those people can be trusted with it. That's one thing where we might mess up, where we don't give people, like, if someone is in authority, they need to be able to take care of that situation. They need to be able to do what they're supposed to do with that authority. They don't need to be people who are going to take advantage of it. They don't need to be people who are going to let the other people just run all over them and not do the things they should do. They need to be people who are responsible enough to be able to do the job. So that's all of the chapters. Let's see, the more the world changes, the more it stays the same. Greed is still greed. Lust is still lust. We haven't invented anything new in that vein. That's exactly true, Donna. So let's go on to the books. I'm just going to run through it quickly because, well, I don't have to cook tonight. Y'all will figure that out if you watch tonight's video. You will see why I'm not telling secrets. No. I'll let you wait and see. Or I'll just tell you, I made leftovers on purpose. So I don't have to cook. So I'm good there. If I had to cook, I'd be a little bit worried right now. Not really worried, but I'd be like, okay, you eat a sandwich. But anyway, I felt like I wasn't prepared, but I've talked the whole entire time and now my face hurts. So, from the first book, I'm going to go ahead. I can tell you right now, the questions are elementary to me. They're all right, but I honestly don't feel like I need to read any of the stuff that she said, though, because we've kind of already gone all over that. But the questions, let's go over the questions. I can't turn the page. Let's turn the page. The only reason I did all right was because I had my Bible in front of me. If not, it'd been a failure. I had notes. Same with vanity. The serpent got Eve appealing to her vanity, and he still used the same strategy to tell us, y'all know I ain't vain. Y'all see me in all kind of weird stuff. Like I don't ever look perfect. Be like, whatever. Anyway, so do you know what your purpose in life is? No, I don't. I don't. That my answer was no. I don't know what my purpose is. I thought I knew what my purpose was at one time. I don't anymore. But that's all right. And then the second question is, can you name a time when you knew your purpose was to help someone else complete their purpose? How did you help them? No, I don't know of anyone that I was supposed to be helping complete their purpose. I don't know that we can help someone complete their purpose. That's God's job to do that. I don't think we can. But then again, I could be wrong. I mean, if God told me to do something, I guess I could do it. Sometimes fear can hinder us from stepping forward to help others. Can you remember a time when you didn't step forward to help someone with their purpose? What was the hindrance? What should you have done? No, because I don't know of anyone that I did. Vanity as in we deserve more or worth of more, etc. Yeah, that's true, Gina. So those questions, I don't know was my answer to all three of them. Because no is all I know to say to any of them. That's what came to my mind. And that's the way I answer these questions, is whatever comes to my mind at that point in time. I don't put a lot of thought into it. Because this is my reason that I don't put a lot of thought into it. If I put a lot of thought into it, my personality will start trying to make something like better than it is, I guess. I don't know. Your answers were no too. So, okay. I had the same issue with the questions. See, because we may not know our purpose. What is happening? He said the man looked like a vampire now. I'll have to read y'all that before I'm done, just because it is kind of, Noah's funny. Anyway, so that was just that book. And this book, oh, don't you tear up your Bible, girl. What's wrong with you? Let's move that. Like I said, I'm going to link those because I thought that was pretty neat information about the gods, how that God defeated the gods. They made me feel so worthless. Why? You shouldn't feel worthless. We're not supposed to know our purpose immediately. I mean, we may not ever know our purpose. That's one thing that God has taught me. We may not know our purpose because if we did, we might try too hard instead of letting God do things. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? Like, we may put too much of us into it and turn it into something that's not. Then our purpose is void. I don't know what my purpose is. Maybe my purpose is to make people laugh. Maybe it was other things. Maybe it's to try to be a good wife and mother. Maybe it's to do the best I can to help whoever I can when I can. It's like, yeah, our purpose is to serve God. Definitely. I know that. That's not an unknown. But I mean, like, the way that seemed, you know. But I feel like if we, sometimes when a person knows their purpose, they'll put too much of themselves, too much flesh in it. And then God can't do anything with flesh. I mean, he can, but he can't. He's not going to override you. He's just a gentleman. He's not going to do it. Okay, I don't know if that made sense at all. Probably didn't, but it might have to somebody. So, this one pretty much talks about duty and everything like that. Pretty much the same stuff that I talked about with the study, and how Moses, you know, things like that. So let's go on to this. Now, this one, I had a little bit more writing that I did, but I'll just go over these. Number 1, Genesis 47 through 50, before Jacob's passing, he blessed his family. How does this imply everything is purposeful? I don't know how that implies everything is purposeful. I don't. Yes, he blessed his family, and yes, there was a reason for everything that he said, every blessing he bestowed on them, but I don't know how that implies everything is purposeful. I don't know. That was my answer. Exodus 1:3, God has a way of getting our attention, just as God did for Moses with the burning bush. What is God trying to tell you? And I put in that it will work out in his time. That's what God's trying to tell me. That's what I feel like. That it will work out in God's time. Not mine, not somebody else's, but in his time. I can't make it fix. I can't fix it. I can't make it work. So then number 3, Exodus 4 through 7, like Moses and the shepherd's rod, sometimes what we need is right in front of us. What could you be overlooking in life? And then I put in where I need to go and where my focus should be. Like, not physically go, but mentally go. Like, I might be overlooking his plan when it's right in front of me. I know that. And I know that sometimes I put my hand back in the cookie jar. All the answers were no as well. But it's just like, I know that I sometimes focus on things more than I should, or not as much as I should on other things. So I know being a good stepmother to my stepkids as well as my own, they lost their mother, so I know or feel it's a part of mine. Sorry, I'm behind on the internet. It's going in and out. Oh, I'm sorry, Tara's finding. But yeah, you are a good mother. And I don't see you as their stepmother. I see you as their mother. The way you treat them, what I see from you, the way you love, it's just, yeah, you're doing exactly what I feel like God has you to do. And I can understand. I didn't know that they had lost their mom, because I haven't asked you a lot of questions. I don't ask questions, unless I most of the time let people tell me what they want to tell me, because when I ask questions, like, I put it this way. If we're having a conversation and you bring something up, I will ask you questions if I feel like I need to clarify something, or if I feel like, oh, well, if I know that, it might help me a little bit more. But I'm not going to I know you have stepchildren, but I'm not going to like say, well, where's their mama? That kind of thing. Because I had stepdads. I don't know what they ever, if they ever had anybody ask them questions or not, but it's sometimes it's personal, put it that way. And I have known people who the parents were in jail, or they just weren't around, they were deadbeats, or they were just lots of reasons. So I just don't ask questions. And that's not just about that kind of situation, it's just everybody's situation. I don't usually ask many questions, unless we're having an actual conversation. So let me go on. Okay, where was that? Number 4. Yeah, they definitely are, Gina. Number 4, Exodus 8 through 11. The hardening of Pharaoh's heart occurs many times in Exodus. When was your heart hardened, and why? And this is something I have talked about a little bit on my channel. Y'all know that I've had miscarriages. And that is when my heart got hardened. That is like over that time, whenever I just kept losing babies, and when I had ectopic pregnancy, my heart got harder and harder. And I even have poems. I don't know if I still have them. I know they used to be on an old computer. I had them printed out at one time. But one of them, what I had written, and it was, is my body a graveyard? Because I felt like my body was a graveyard and not a safe place for babies. That's the way I felt. And my heart got very hard. But God had to show me that it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my body's fault. It wasn't anything I did to make me lose babies. And he had to soften my heart. But that was a time when my heart got very hard. And it changed my way of thinking a lot at that time. So that's the answer to that question. And number 5, Exodus 12 through 15. The Song of Miriam is regarded as one of the oldest Israelite poems in existence. What older songs keep you going? I don't know. I like music. I don't have a lot of songs that I can like pinpoint. And a lot of times I can't really even tell you who sang the songs, which might be bad to some people, but I just can't. Just like I can't tell you actors and actresses. I just can't. I don't know. So I don't know a song that keeps me going. I know some songs that do. There's a lot of those. And they are songs, but so it's a little bit different though. My heart was hardened to my siblings. You just don't say you don't contact me. And then when my son got cancer, suddenly popped back up in my life saying praying for him. Yeah, I can understand that, Donna, because there's been people that have left our lives and then they just pop back up whenever they find out something's not great. Hasn't happened in a very long time, because we usually don't tell a lot about what's going on. I mean, I know I talk about it a lot on YouTube, but yeah, well, not a lot, but yeah, I can understand that. If you don't want me when I'm well, then I don't want you when I'm sick. Yeah. Like, if you don't want to be in my life, I mean, I can understand certain reasons why somebody might not be around, but that's a different situation than what your situation is, Donna, because you told me something about yours. All right, Exodus 16 through 18, number 6. What is the significance of Aaron holding Moses' hand up in order to defeat the warriors of Amalek? Which I didn't talk about that. I should have talked about that a little bit when I was going over that, but I didn't. But anyway, hopefully we all read it. If we didn't, that's okay. We can go back and read it later. What I wrote down is sometimes we need someone to help us because we can't do everything alone. We just can't do everything alone. There's no way that we can. So sometimes we need somebody there to hold our arms up. Sometimes we just need that help. And we all have those people in our lives. We may not have more than one, but we have someone that we know will hold our arms up. Yeah. We need somebody there to pray for us. We need somebody there to even physically do things. Like, sometimes it's just like a hug. Sometimes it's just some simple word that someone says. It could be lots of things. There's different things in here about discussion and stuff. Let's see. We can't really do that much, which I guess we are. We're sharing things. Activity. Did you know Exodus relates more miracles than any other Old Testament book? What miracles can you remember from your readings this week? Take turns each recalling one of the miracles. Remember many of the people you've read about are walking miracles. Think about the box. Think outside the box and have fun, which we can't really do that because we're not beside each other. So, I guess that's all. I think I got through all of the things. I feel like I rushed through part of it, but I still find that I never had, and I got these from 2 different websites. I had never heard someone say that the meaning and the purpose of the plagues were to prove that the gods of the Egyptians weren't real, that God is the only God. I mean, I didn't exactly understand. I thought it was all because it was making Pharaoh do what he needed to do. I didn't know it had a deeper meaning. And I don't know if it really does. I'm sure it does. God has meaning for everything. But it was just like, it was interesting to read this. So I will put it in the description box. But next week, we are reading, which I will have it. My sleeve keeps getting caught. I will have it on the community page. Y'all know I do that. But we'll be reading Exodus 19 through 40. So, over the next, 7 days. And like Donna, I'm just starting tonight. I will start reading that. And that's what I should have said instead of starting on Sunday or on Monday. That's what we should have done, I think, so we wouldn't mix up the weeks. And y'all can do it whatever works for y'all. Even if you don't get to read it all, don't feel bad about not getting to read all. This is a lot. But I found the greatest way to do it is if you can't read it, just, Vicki, I actually asked everyone to pray for you earlier. This is Vicki that I was talking about. Y'all can go visit her channel too. I asked for everyone to pray for you earlier whenever we started. Because I know it's very hard to lose a parent. Because me and my sister Flora, I don't know if Flora's still here, but we lost our daddy. And we know how that is. It's very difficult. You are definitely in my prayers every day. And if you ever need to talk, I don't know if I could help you or not, but you know how to get in touch with me. But that's Vicki, who I asked for prayer for Tuesday and today. That's the one that I'm talking about. Let's see. What was I saying? I don't know. I got lost somewhere about somebody help me. Don't know what I was talking about. Oh, the app. If you ever feel like you can't read it, like Amy has a headache, she has migraines, terrible migraines, maybe you could listen to it on the app, that kind of thing. And I know that some people say, oh, well, listening to it's not the same as reading it. Sometimes I get more from it, from listening, because I can focus on that person saying the words. I get more that way than I do actually sitting there with my Bible and reading it. But y'all know me. I got 2 shelves full of Bibles over there. I'm still going to be reading out of there too, So, do it whichever way is most helpful to you. Try to, and if you don't get through it all, it's fine. We'll go over it. You listen to the Blue Letter. Yeah, I've got the Blue Letter and the other Bible app on here on my phone. But both of them will read to you. And I think there's more that will read to you. I'm not sure, though, how many of them will actually read to you. And they have lots of versions. So you can choose whatever version you want. But I hope that was okay. I think that this study is always going to be longer than the other one. I'm not sure, but it seems like it is, because we do have more to go over. And yeah, that's true, Donna. But we are all praying for you, Vicki. We're definitely praying for you. You got a little prayer squad. You didn't know it. We got all here. Ever since I found out, I told the other ladies about you. So, but let's see, what else was there? I don't think there's anything else I need to talk about. But I guess I will see you guys next week, or I'll see y'all tonight in the video, in the comments, and then we'll do Tuesday's study. We have 6 more chapters. Am I right? 6 more? Yes, of 2 Samuel. And then we're going to go on to, after that, we're going to start studying some other things. And then on Thursday, we'll be back on week 4 of the Bible in 52 weeks. So I'm glad y'all could make it and hang out with me and study with me today. And hopefully it helps somebody. It helped me, even if it didn't help anybody else. So I guess it helped somebody. But I will see y'all next time. Excuse all the crazy. I'm in the middle of the declutter. I'm getting rid of more books than I thought I would. But I'm actually doing better than I thought I would. And it's working. I'm getting through them a little at a time. But I will see you guys later. And I do hope that you'll be back next time. And remember, don't take any wooden nickels, and be sweet.